Welcome friends, this is Dr. Vinay Baokar. Friends, today we are going to talk about addiction. Again a very important topic. Come on, let's start. Guys, before going ahead, let's see what one addict has to say. My goal in life wasn't living, it was getting high. Over the years, I turned to cocaine, marijuana and alcohol under a false belief it would allow me to escape my problems. It just made things worse. I kept saying to myself, I am going to stop permanently after using one last time. It never happened. Friends, this is the common story of an addict. So, please be aware of this monster. Hey guys, please notice, this video is for informational purpose only and should not be used as a replacement for expert medical advice. Friends, now let us see the definition of an addiction. An addiction is a condition that results when a person ingests a substance, say alcohol, cocaine or nicotine, or engages in an activity, say gambling, that can be pleasurable, but the continued use of which becomes compulsive and interferes with ordinary life responsibilities such as work or relationships or health. Users may not be aware that their behavior is out of control and causing problems for themselves and others. Friends, now let us see the causes of an addiction. First one is genetics. A person can inherit a vulnerability when it comes to becoming addicted to drugs or alcohol. This doesn't necessarily mean that a person with a family history of addiction is doomed to develop an addiction of their own. Not everyone born with this tendency develops an addiction either. Guys, second cause is mental health concerns. Rates of addiction to drugs and or alcohol are higher for people who also have a mental illness. They may start using as a way to deal with the symptoms of depression or anxiety. Next cause is environmental considerations. The place where you were brought up can influence whether you develop an addiction. If you spend time with people who are addicts, you are more likely to develop the same kinds of habits. Guys, fourth cause is lack of spiritual or religious connection. People who are not affiliated with a specific religion may be more likely to feel empty or unfulfilled in their lives. Using a substance to feel better can be the start of a full-blown addiction. Friends, fifth cause is difficulty in coping with thoughts and feelings. A person who has trouble dealing with the trials and tribulations in their lives may start to use drugs or alcohol to help them calm down. Guys, sixth cause is physical or sexual abuse. People who were abused as children may start using as a way to cope with the feelings of guilt, shame and anger that remain after the abuse has stopped. Friends, seventh cause is low tolerance for frustration. A person who reacts badly to stress and becomes frustrated easily is at a higher risk of developing an addiction. They don't have the emotional makeup to ride out the situation and may turn to a substance to help them cope. The eighth cause is low self-esteem. A person with self-esteem issues is more likely to turn to drugs or alcohol to feel better about themselves. They may start using to give their self-esteem a boost or to fit in with their peers. Friends, ninth cause of an addiction is accessibility. The fact that drugs are available means that people are going to experiment with them. If you are interested in buying drugs, they are available at schools and in workplaces just about anywhere. A certain percentage of people who decide to try them will develop a full-blown addiction. Friends, the 10th and the last cause of an addiction is the substance itself. Some types of drugs, such as heroin, cocaine, and meth, are highly addictive substances. It is possible to become addicted to them very quickly. Friends, now let us talk about the symptoms of an addiction. The first and the cardinal symptom of an addiction is the inability to limit the use of a substance or activity beyond need, leading to clinically significant impairment. Guys, second symptom of an addiction is there is a craving or compulsion to use the substance or activity. Third symptom is recurrent use of the drug or activity escalates to achieve the desired effect, indicating tolerance. Friends, fourth symptom of an addiction is attempts to stop usage produce symptoms of withdrawal, that is irritability, anxiety, shakes, nausea. And last but not the least, recurrent use of the substance or activity impairs work, social and family responsibilities, creates psychological impairments and interpersonal problems, has negative effects on health, mood, self-respect, exacerbated by the effects of the specific substance itself. Friends, now let us talk about 10 most common addictions affecting the world today. The first one is alcohol addiction. Alcohol is readily available and a legal substance for adults to use. Prolonged or excessive use can lead to a problem with an addiction. Second one is smoking. Technically, a smoker is not addicted to cigarettes, but rather the nicotine they contain. This highly addictive substance is the reason why smoking is such a difficult habit to give up. Third addiction is drug addiction. Drug addiction includes both illegal substances and legal drugs. The problem is the same, whether your drug of choice is readily available by prescription or not. Friends, fourth most common addiction is gambling. Many people enjoy participating in a game of chance in hope of winning some money or another prize. When it becomes a compulsive activity that the individual is unable to stop, despite the fact that continuing to gamble is creating problems, that is a sign that the person has become addicted to gambling. Friends, next is food addiction. Food is something that we all need to survive, and eating should be an enjoyable experience. A food addict is unable to control his or her eating during certain times and uses food as a way to deal with feelings of sadness, depression, or anxiety. Guys, the sixth addiction is video games. A video game addict plays video games to the extent that this activity intrudes on his or her life. The most addictive video games are the ones where players assume the identity of a character in the game and are able to interact with other players. The next one is internet addiction. The internet can be a wonderful resource. We can look for information, read news and blogs, and interact virtually with people from all over the world. Internet use turns into internet addiction when an individual wants to be online all the time. If you feel anxious or upset when you are not able to be online, it may be a sign that you have developed an internet addiction. Friends, the eighth described addiction is sex addiction. Having an addiction to sex has nothing to do with your sex drive or lack thereof. While it's normal to have a healthy interest in sexual activity, a person with an addiction to sex is likely engaging in risky sexual behavior to feel their compulsion. They may be visiting prostitutes, having affairs, picking up strangers to have sex with, exposing themselves or looking in windows to satisfy their urges. Guys, ninth addiction is shopping. For some people, compulsive shopping is an all too real problem. They use this activity as a way to deal with emotional or other problems in their lives. This excessive shopping may lead to financial problems as well as relationship issues with the compulsive shopper's spouse or partner. Friends, the last entry on this list of the 10 most common addictions is one that may be considered a good thing, that is work. Hard work is generally something that people admire, and many parents teach their children that it is the key to getting what they want out of life. But when work becomes an obsession, it is a problem. If you get to the point where you cannot stop working and thinking about work when you are supposed to be off the job, it may be a sign that your dedication has turned into an addiction. Guys, now let us talk about 10 practical tips to fight addictions. The first one is, tell your friends and family about your addiction. Second tip is, ask them for their support. Third one is, find a new group of friends to hang out with. Fourth one is, join a club or take a class in something that interests you. Fifth tip is, have a plan to deal with cravings. Friends, sixth tip is, start eating well as you go through the recovery process. Seventh one is, exercise regularly. Eighth important tip is, get enough sleep. The next tip is, develop a positive outlook. And last but not the least, if required, please see a counselor. Hey guys, I hope you liked my video on addiction. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you really want to see these types of videos. Please do that. Goodbye friends. Take care.